Anybody tells you that you have to use a Glen to taste,
You can use a boot.
you can use old Greg's boot, baby.
Oh, Greg! Yeah, you can use a hat.
Whatever you want. A sock.
Welcome back to Arsenic Culture, where beers don't count, but Jason's bad decisions do. I'm Matt.
I have never made a bad decision, but I'm Jason.
He is the one with the bad decisions. How you doing, man?
Doing good. How about you?
All right, so I noticed when we get together and we hang out and you're having a beverage that you drink exclusively out of red Solo cups.
That's how I roll, baby.
Why is that?
That's my jug of choice.
Jug of choice. Is there something about the red Solo cup that makes your beverage you're drinking taste better?
Yeah, Toby Keith wrote a song, R.I.P. Toby Keith. But
Yeah.
he wrote a song about red Solo cups, so I just figured, hell, let's do it.
Just
You know,
in memoriam, like perpetual, just like always
In
drinking
perpetuity,
red
baby.
Solo. Yeah, in perpetuity.
you know the story behind the song, though, right?
What is it?
So he was challenged by like some other song makers of like, I bet you can't make a red or a hit out of a song about whatever.
Bullshit.
They
Really?
did, and they said red Solo cup. And he did.
That's hilarious. I didn't actually know that. That's
Now,
awesome.
it could be a myth, but that's what I've heard.
That
So,
would actually be
Yeah.
pretty cool. That's
Pretty cool,
awesome.
pretty
so,
cool.
well, let me ask you this: have you ever had one of your fancy beverages out of a glass?
We don't have any glasses here.
Oh no, yeah.
So yeah, man, I've got, like you, I don't have mine displayed like this,
Yeah.
but I have way too many fancy beer glasses.
Right.
I have some fancy bourbon glasses, some fancy wine glasses. I have tried them all, and I've tried the red Solo cups.
Yes.
How about you?
I do enjoy the red Solo cup on occasion, especially in the proper venue.
Tailgating,
Yeah, field party from
Yep.
1994 or
bonfire taller than me.
2004. Yeah, yeah. Tailgating, obviously, you do red Solo cup, but so there is some science behind it. There is some pretentiousness behind it. Does the glass you're drinking out of matter? Does it?
Great question.
I think it is a good question, but I think it does, but I also think that it doesn't. And it kind of depends on what you have, like what's in the glass, and then it depends on the glass itself.
I think a big one for me, and we're drinking a lot of bourbon. I think I've not shifted to bourbon, but I drink a lot more bourbon than I have in the past, like recently.
Right.
So one I'm going to open here. This is just a Weller Full Proof
Right.
store pick from Jackson Wine and Spirits. It's actually one of the better Weller Full Proof picks I've had. So
Okay, what are you pouring that Weller Full Proof in?
I'm going to pour it in a Glencairn glass.
Okay, what is a Glencairn?
Well, it's this shape.
Right.
It's for nosing. Like you're supposed to get a better experience of the olfactory system.
So the idea is when you taste a beverage or you want like the full spectrum of the experience, you start with, I see what you're doing.
I'm going to compare it.
I see what you're doing. You have to engage all the senses. And one of those is the olfactory sense. Like Jason said, you got to smell it. So when you use a Glencairn like this, the way it's shaped, it's much smaller. And a lot of people know this, but in case you didn't, the opening is also a lot tinier too. These fingerprints look horrible, but it concentrates, it concentrates the nose flavor
Nose flavor. Yep.
to deliver it to your nostrils better. So
the theory behind this one, they have different ones too. There's different brands, different ones. Rydell does some different ones. I can say you say it.
Yeah.
But the theory is it's like the best. If you look at this, you're supposed to hold it kind of at the bottom.
Because
you don't want your liquor getting hot, right? Like you don't want temperature change.
Yes, so when you hold the glass, they're saying that the temperature from your hand can't actually directly transfer into the liquid, which literally it will. So it depends on what you...
When you look at it too, so like if you have something, if you serve bourbon cold, so a lot of people like in college, we would have Jose Cuervo in the freezer. You know what I mean? Or Jack Daniels in the freezer.
Yeah.
You want things cold, like even thinking beer. So you want a beer as cold as possible in college.
Right.
But now it's like, if I'm drinking craft beer, which we have all around us, it's different temperatures.
Yeah.
Some of it's room temperature, cellar temperature, 50, 60 degrees.
Yeah.
It's a different flavor experience, different nose flavor too.
Yeah.
But you get different on that. So that's what we're looking at. We're going to experiment a little bit. So same pour.
Okay.
We have it in the Glencairn, which is the optimal, quote that, tasting glass for bourbon. Then we have it in a rocks glass, which is pretty much what you have at every bar.
Basically, a cocktail glass. It's pretty universal. Everybody knows what a rocks glass is, but it's just like a little short glass here.
If you don't watch you ain't watch your show.
But it's a rocks glass that's made to put your rocks in.
So on the nose, like, what difference are you getting just off the top?
I didn't even do both yet, so. The concentration of aroma in the Glen is extremely apparent.
It is.
And that's the whole point of this.
It is.
It focuses the shape of this, the way it tapers in like that, the aromas actually get focused into this one opening and they kind of converge. And that is the idea, is that you want to get more of the aroma through a more narrow opening. And a lot of people just put one nostril in, and that way you can bring it all in. Whereas with a rocks glass, it's a lot more open. So technically speaking, you won't get a lot of that at the same time.
So a lot of times people will tell you though too, like if you're nosing bourbon, they'll say, some people say both nostrils, some people say one.
Yeah.
You actually have what they say in theory. I don't know if I believe this or not, but I'm just telling you what people say. You also have like a dominant side of your nose. Think of like if you're shooting a gun through a scope, you have a dominant eye, like everybody does. So same thing with your nose.
If allegedly. You couldn't tell by his analogy, we live in Kentucky.
We do. Yeah, we can shoot some possums in the backyard.
Yeah. Well, our 22,
and we're having it for
our
dinner.
22 plinker. Yeah.
But if you look at that, so I usually go in for two nostrils. I'm kind of just smelling around, then I'll tilt and see where I'm going. A lot of people will say keep your mouth open.
Yeah.
So that you can get like the flavor coming through as well. The
exhale
vapors.
through your mouth. Yeah.
So that's something else. The Glencairn gives you the optimal experience for that versus the rocks glass. But I would say we both would agree there's more nose flavors, more aroma from the Glencairn, right?
We keep saying nose flavors.
That's our buddy Kyler.
Yeah. He knows. Yeah. If you know, Kyler. Yeah.
So I do think there's more aroma from the Glen, right? Like I think we both agree with that.
I agree 100%.
So let's try a taste. See what the difference is.
Oh, I've been drinking this whole time.
I've been talking. I've been talking.
I'm already halfway through both my pours. Okay, you try it, Jason. You tell me what the difference is. So that's my bad. I can get a definite difference between the aroma in each one, and then as he was talking, I tasted both of them, and they are both delicious.
So this actually particular pour, 114 proof. That's what your Weller full proofs are. This is a store pick, of course, single barrel product. So for me, I'm not going to say which one I prefer right now, but I'm going to say what the difference is in between the two.
Okay.
So with the Glen, I think it's actually a little hotter. I think it's more concentrated as you take the first sip. Even the first swallow, it's a little hotter.
Yeah.
Even for 114.
So I've had, maybe it's a predisposition based on the way I understand it.
Are you profiling bourbon?
I'm profiling the glass of bourbon. There was once upon a time I was a glass snob. So
if you couldn't tell.
If you couldn't tell. When it comes to higher proof bourbon specifically, for example, I've actually had an issue with the Glen. Me and you, when you first got into bourbon, I was actually getting into bourbon. You ramped up. I kind of leveled out.
Stayed the same.
But I remember back then we had a conversation on the Glencairn specifically, and I remember both of you and I said unanimously, it doesn't matter.
I would agree.
Yeah, and we were talking about rocks versus Glen. We were like, no, it didn't fucking matter. Yeah. It does matter to a degree, but here's the thing with the Glen. So when you concentrate all those aromas and you bring everything into the forefront when you're smelling it, when you're tasting it, it's doing the same thing. Your nose is going directly into the glass. And when you concentrate all those flavors into your nose, they will inherently be concentrated into your palate as well. That's just part of it.
Correct.
What I have to do when it comes to high proof bourbon, unfortunately, is sometimes I'll have to I will not breathe breathe into my nose a little bit to make sure I can control.
You will exhale as you drink.
Yes, I have
that's the best single tip I've ever heard in my drinking career.
Yeah.
When you're drinking high proof bourbon, exhale as soon as you take the swallow, as soon as you take that sip, exhale. It takes all the ethanol or most of it out. The burn you have, it dissipates by probably 80% or more.
Right, yeah. And I'm not even talking about after. I'm talking about before also. But yes, you're 100% right.
I know.
When I actually...
You stop there.
End of show. Let's go. Sorry. But yeah,
gonna keep drinking.
when I drink out of, if it's a high proof bourbon, I'm drinking out of a Glen. Sometimes I will have to plug my nose, just not breathe out of Moe's just for a second so I can control how much I take in. You don't have that problem as bad with a rocks glass because it is more open. I feel like, in theory, you have more control with a rocks glass because you can cup it and you can create the same kind of circumstance. Again, I'm not saying one is subpar and one is better than the other, but I don't like being in a situation to where I have to do it exactly as I'm told. I like to have the freedom to enjoy. We are getting so nuanced here, but I like to have the freedom to enjoy the way I want to drink.
We are non-conformists with glassware.
Yeah.
But I think what I would say on this one here is too, so a lot of times you have a bourbon pour, you want the bourbon to open up, right? So we talk about neck pours. So neck pours, there's no science behind it, but a neck pour is the first, when you fresh crack a bourbon,
right?
It's the first pour you get. That's usually hotter, more alcohol, more heat when you inhale, whatever,
Sure.
Even the taste. So you want it to open up. What will this bottle do is I'll leave it open and have it open, get a few pours over the last month, 2 months, 3 months. I think the difference in glassware is that.
Yeah.
I think with a Glen, it's like a fresh crack every time.
Yes.
I think with the rocks glass, while the nose is not as prominent, I will 100% guarantee that you will get more aroma from the Glen
right.
than you will the rocks glass. But the taste-wise, I think the rocks glass gives you a more true taste. It's not the neck pour every single time.
And the idea is the concept of a decanter.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
The way a decanter is shaped for wine, when you decant wine, you pour it into a glass receptacle.
Or lambic behind you.
Or lambic.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have? Oh, I thought.
Do
I have a decanter over there? I know. I was going to bring it out.
I got one in my house.
Yeah. So the idea of a decanter is that you pour your medium, your beverage, into a glass receptacle that has a very wide base. So the liquid can spread out and breathe. You can more or less rapidly oxidate it, to whatever degree that your room temperature is.
Yeah.
But it actually does allow the beverage to breathe. So you take that concept of decanting, and you compare these two receptacles. Look at the base on like a rocks glass versus a Glen, and you see how much more skinny the bottom is on the Glen versus the rocks. It is double. Mm-hmm. Now the Glen does bulb out. Mm-hmm. Here a little bit here, but even at its like most thick, it's still not.
It will fit inside the rocks glass.
Yeah, it's still not as thick as a rock glass. So this is essentially a better decanter vessel than a Glen is. Correct. Again, I'm not saying that a Glen is subpar. Yep. I just like having more control over my experience.
I think what I would say on the bourbon aspect, and we'll talk beer and some other drinking vessels here in a minute, but I would say you don't have to use a Glen. Right, like you don't have to use a Glen. Anybody tells you that you have to use a Glen to taste,
you can use a boot.
They're wrong. You can use old Greg's boot, baby.
Old Greg. Yeah, you can use a hat.
Whatever you want. A sock, maybe, I don't know.
You can sieve it through a sock, yeah.
I probably wouldn't, but you could. But anyway, I think too about drinking anything, not just bourbon. We're talking bourbon now, but don't be too serious. Don't be pretentious about it. Right. I mean, me and Matt's both been there with beer. It's a Pilsner. I'm going to drink it out of a Pilsner glass. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Or there was a big thing with all these TQs, which I love, the TQs.
We'll talk about these in a second, yeah.
Yeah. So this is the shape, and we'll talk about it more, but those are great, and they're kind of like a Glen in a beer form. You know what I mean?
They really are, yeah.
I could also be just as happy drinking out of a red Solo cup.
Right, yeah.
So anyway, back to the bourbon.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a big difference in taste versus these two? Or nose, flavor, whatever?
So I think there can be a difference in taste, and that difference in taste ties to whether you are breathing through your nose at the time you drink it. This sounds nuanced, but honestly it is. The whole process is nuanced. That's the point of it.
The whole process is nuanced, yeah.
So if I drink through a Glen and I'm breathing through my nose as I intake and take a sip, even if I exhale, everything is going to be a lot more pronounced, which can be good. That can be great in certain situations. If it's a high-proof bourbon, sometimes that can be overbearing.
Correct.
And it can be too much. So if you had something with a wider opening, that might be advantageous to where you're not being forced to concentrate all those phenols and all the, the nuance in straight into your nose hole while you're drinking. I don't want to say it contaminates it, but it does. It really does affect.
Yeah.
It does affect the taste.
Well, how nuanced it is for the tastings we're talking about. So if you lift weights, if you work out, think of it as like the first time you ever did a bench press, right? So the first time you ever did a bench press, your arms probably flared out to here.
Yeah.
You're like back. You might be, so you're trying to push one side and the
I
other.
got scoliosis after my first set.
And then now you're like, okay, I get my shoulders back.
Yeah.
I got my bar down here.
Yeah.
I'm pushing out in front. My range of motion's controlled. Everything's controlled.
That experience.
That's what we're talking about with all this drinking, right?
Yeah.
So it is very nuanced. Like you have to, every time I take a sip of alcohol, bourbon, beer, whatever, I have trained myself to be that almost professional drinker. I hate to say that word, but
No, I agree. I know exactly what you mean.
I'm drinking to tear it apart.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, really.
So
yeah.
that's actually the greatest way to put it, because that is what you want to do.
You can stop there. We're done. We're done.
Okay, end of the episode again. Yeah. No, you want to dissect it.
Yes,
you want to dissect it. You want to tear it apart, and you want to like break down like all the pieces of it. But that helps you appreciate it.
It does.
More.
Oh, 100% does. It helps. Again, though, let's talk beer for a second. So I can appreciate a great lambic behind Matt. I mean, I know what that is. I know what it should be. I can appreciate a great stout, but I can appreciate a Saturday sitting at home or tailgating and a Busch Light. Like,
yes,
I don't give a shit.
Yes.
I'm past the pretentious stage in my drinking journey.
Yeah.
Like I know there's a time and place for everything. And somebody asked me, what's your favorite beer? What's your favorite bourbon? I'm like,
I hate that question.
Man, I don't know. I mean, I can give you some answers, but it might change tomorrow.
It really does depend on what you're in the mood for, and anymore that's
And your
just
setting.
Yeah.
Just your setting.
that's just what I
Yeah.
that's what I say. Somebody says like, what's your favorite beer? It's like, well, am I at a tailgate at a football game? Then it's probably going to be Miller Lite, honestly. Like I don't want to drink a lambic or like a double barreled stout.
No, I don't need a double IPA either.
Yeah.
I don't need a 9% if I'm drinking.
Yeah,
all day,
exactly. You know
every
what? A
time I
Pilsner
drink.
would be great. That'd be fantastic. But if I'm sitting at home and it's winter and we got a snow day with a kid and it's like
barley
3
wine
days
sounds
after
good.
God, yeah, it does.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not gonna drink a Pilsner then.
No, screw that Pilsner, man.
Yeah,
I want that barley wine.
So let me talk about the actual glass for
Yeah.
a second. And I'm scanning around here. Where's my other camera? I'm going to turn this one on. So there is some science behind the construction of the glass. Most specifically, the thickness. And a lot of people don't realize this, but you mentioned Riedel.
Yeah.
Which is they make wine glasses. They make really great
You
wine
got
glasses.
that Boca Rider. Is that Riedel? I can't remember.
It probably is.
That is so we were actually at a beer festival in Boston. We were there, and Boca Rider was a lambic producer, not a producer, a blender that came there. Rolf is his name. Rolf Silverens, I think they say.
Spiderwebs all over
Oh, of
this.
course.
Yeah,
I got one too. So me and Matt were there with our friend Jeff, and then we looked at this. They had some Magnum, so 1.5 liter, whatever it is, beer.
Yeah.
We missed those, but they had these glasses. This glass is so thin. It is thinner than any Glen you would have or
See if
any
you can get that on
rocks
camera.
glass.
So look at the thickness of that glass. Let's even compare it to the thickness
it's
of that.
double. It is double the thickness.
It is quite physically
Yeah.
double the thickness.
At least.
So there has actually been there have been studies to show that the thickness of the glass will. This is getting super nerdy. I didn't even realize it was going to be this nerdy of an episode.
I did.
But-
I should wear glasses.
I know, yeah. So when you drink your beverage, it doesn't matter what it is. It can be bourbon, it can be wine, it can be beer. Technically speaking, it could be water. There are actually high-end waters out there, but when you drink it, the thickness of the glass actually dictates how fast that fluid hits your palate and how fast or how well you can receive it and taste it. A thicker glass, if this is your tongue and this is the glass, for example, and you put the glass on here and the fluid comes in, you have a whole level and blank area to where the fluid's not hitting your tongue, your palate, before it gets to the back of your throat. And if you're drinking something that's very nuanced, something that's very light and hard to pick apart, I mean, let's talk about Pilsners, okay? Pilsners can be absolutely fantastic. But if you're drinking a Pilsner, you got thick glass, and it just shoots back into the back of your throat, you won't taste it at all. Now, if your goal is to get as drunk as quick as possible, then that's probably ideal. But if you actually want to experience it and taste it, a thinner glass will reduce that profile so that when the fluid comes out, it actually touches your palate and your tongue, and you experience it before you swallow it. That's the whole point. That's why winemakers and wine drinkers go with a thinner glass, so they don't just chug the beverage and it just hits them in the back of the throat and they swallow it. They wouldn't actually like taste it.
So the object is like cascading, right? So you talk about front palate, mid palate, back palate, or front, middle, finish, whatever you want to call it, bourbon, beer, whatever, wine. It's the same theory. You want something that hits all of it. So my perfect beverage, if I'm looking at a beer, bourbon, wine, whatever, I want it to hit all parts of my palate. And I love a great finish. Like, that's my personal preference.
Right, yeah.
But I want it to hit everything. I don't want it to be too cloying in the middle or too cloying in the front, whatever. I want to taste it, all three of those aspects, and then have the great finish for me.
I agree. And I will say that a great pour is Never Say Die Bourbon. I completely butchered that.
You did. Never Say Die.
Yeah, Never Say Die Bourbon, our sponsor. We appreciate these guys. You can find them in a liquor store near you. Super smooth, super balanced. You can check out a commercial where they are. Did I show you that outtake yet?
No. Oh, wait. No, not the outtake. No,
okay.
No.
I was like super smooth, super balanced, but I had it balanced on a fence. And like, we were at a horse show, we had the National Derby, and it fell over.
I've not seen that.
It was like super balanced. Oh, it's awesome. Yeah, it's really good. But Never Say Die Bourbon, you check them out. They're actually absolutely delicious. Yeah, and we appreciate those guys, so thank you. But the glass shape is also important too. So you look at we talked about the thickness, but the shape of the Glen is constructed so it will like bring all the aromas like into it. So the teku, which was a concept that was, I'm going to take my high roller glass because this is my favorite.
I love that.
This
I love
is my
that
favorite
glass.
one. Yeah,
that was from Maine. That was at a lobster roll place.
Yeah.
And it was honestly like the best lobster we had our whole trip up there.
Yeah.
And it was like not a franchise, but a few little, chains.
They had a couple locations, yeah.
This is their glass. It is like a Supreme logo, if you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
In a teku, and it is fantastic.
So this was developed during the craft beer, I guess, peak.
Yeah.
Maybe like 6 or 7, 8 years ago.
I would say 10.
Yeah, something like that. But it was developed by I forget the guy's name.
Was a guy named Tiku?
No,
is that his name?
I don't remember what his name is, but I actually literally have his Tiku here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Birra Balladine there's a spider on there. Birra Balladine was an Italian brewery, and the guy that owns Birra Balladine, I believe, is the one that you can see the logo right there on the bottom. He was the one that developed the teku glass.
Very cool.
And he did it in conjunction with not an architect, but somebody that actually studied beverage tasting for a living. And what they found out was that this shape was ideal for beer specifically. It was the wide bottom because when you hit the super wide bottom right here, you can get your fluid in there, your beer or even your wine for that matter.
Yeah.
And it goes back to decanting. Mm-hmm. It's wide base introduces it to a lot of oxygen so that way it can open up and you can bring out some more of those flavors. But then it tapers at a straight angle, straight up to concentrate those flavors at the top. And then it
flares.
It flares just a little bit at the top. And that helps it actually release it better into your nose and then as you're drinking, so that way you can experience everything perfectly. That's
so
the
the
whole
teku
idea.
is essentially a Glencairn for beer. I mean, essentially, you know what I mean?
And you can even look at them side by side. Yeah. They're a little bit different, but a lot of that structure is the same. Yeah. It really is.
So, I think we both agree on this point, but I think a teku is great, and I do beer-specific glassware, bourbon-specific glassware, but also I would drink a beer out of anything. You know what I mean? Like, I know what it tastes like. I know what the flavor is for it. I know what the nose is for it.
Yeah, like one of
Drink
these.
Hobgoblin.
Yeah,
Hobgoblin.
it's a fucking mug. I mean, that's ceramic. Yeah,
You probably got that Pazos.
Yeah,
Pazos pot nights.
I don't know where I got that.
I bet you did.
I got a
actually,
lot of crazy things over here. Yeah, we got the ethereal local brewery. Ethereal,
that's
by
one
the
of my
way.
favorite ones, man.
The
I'm gonna get it.
beaker, that is so dope. So that's just a cool shape, but I mean, it works as a receptacle.
That's one of my favorite glasses, actually.
Science beaker, yeah.
Yeah.
And you can see the...
They made it once. Bring it back. Bring that one back. I mean, it's not great like for nosing or whatever, but that's a great glass. Very thin.
The thing is,
perfect.
it can be like...
Oh, yeah, for
It's
sure.
got the opening,
Yeah.
but I love that they have like the little milliliter
Yeah.
markings on there. Like,
That'd be
Brandon...
also for a...
Brandon, we know you're watching this, man.
Kelly, make
We'll just
Brandon...
get him back on the show and
We need
make
to talk
him...
to Kelly. Kelly, make Brandon get that glass again,
Yeah.
please. But
Yeah.
that glass could also be like a mixer. Like if you're making a mixed drink, you got the measurements there, you stir it up, you know?
Exactly.
Very
I mean,
cool. Very
it's
cool.
built in. My favorite glass, all things
For
considered...
beer or bourbon?
For everything.
Okay.
I think if let me ask you this:
Mm-hmm.
if you had to pick one glass, you could only use one glass for the rest of your life for every beverage you ever had. I'm talking water. I'm talking bourbon. I'm talking wine. I'm talking beer. What one glass would you choose?
I mean the do all be all is a snifter. It's like
Okay.
the 16-ounce, 18-ounce snifter. Like you have any up here?
Well, I'm sure I do. Like,
I mean, essentially
find what you're talking about and tell me.
essentially it's this.
Yeah, yeah. That's
So essentially it's this glass.
that's actually a brewery that I think went out of business.
Avondale,
out of,
probably, yeah. Trunks up though.
yeah.
But this is probably the like just do everything glass.
Yeah.
No matter what I'm drinking, I have these at home. If we do a share, I have the smaller ones of these. Like this is 16, 18 ounces. The other
Right.
ones are probably 6 to 8 ounces. But they're a great share glass too.
When you talk, let me see that real
Yeah.
quick. This one. So when you talk about similarities to the Glencairn,
Very
honestly,
similar.
this is even more similar than the Teku is. It's got more of a stem here, so that way you don't have to touch it if you don't want to. But then it kind of takes. Look at all these spider webs on there. But yeah, it's got the wide base, so that way it can breathe, and then it tapers, so that way it can concentrate the flavor.
When you also have the opportunity, so in this glass, if I'm holding it for a beer share, I can hold it like this by the base.
Right.
If I don't want it to warm up. If I pour a barrel-aged stout or a barley wine, I might be like this. So my hand's there in contact. I might actually be rubbing it like this to try to warm it up. So if you have something a little too cold, you want it, like if you do a barrel-aged stout, barrel-aged barley wine, I want it to be 55, 65 degrees when I'm drinking it.
That's the other side of the scenario we talked about, to where somebody said, "Where's my Glen? Is that my Glen?"
It's yours. Mine's here.
Hold it by the stem so you don't warm it up. Sometimes you want to warm it up,
You do.
and that is a purposeful thing that you will do.
Especially with beer. Beer's the main one.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, sometimes you want to warm up, especially with beer. And that is a purposeful thing that you will do. You will put your hands on there and you will make it warm. If somebody pours you a bourbon and it's a good bourbon, but maybe it is cold. Maybe it's not refrigerated.
maybe
but
it's outside.
Yeah, maybe it's outside. You want to warm it up, you do this. Like, that is a physical thing that you can do.
100%.
And it will change the quality of your beverage by physically making it warmer.
It happens a lot too. Like if you're in lines, like for a bourbon release, you'll see them on YouTube or
Like in
wherever.
the winter, we've
And I've
done
been
that.
there.
Yeah.
You'll see people out there bourbon glasses, like warming it up. I mean, again, if you have a beverage that's too cold, that's not meant. So in my opinion, here's what happens: if it's too cold, like if you have a Coors Light, Miller Lite, whatever. If it's so cold, there's not much flavor to it.
Yeah.
It's more of just beer, right?
Yeah.
If you have a bourbon that's really cold, you don't get the full flavor, you don't get it to open up.
Right.
So you want it to be the temperature it's designed at. Bourbon is room temperature. Beers are different temperatures for different types.
Yes, they are. 100%.
Again, would I drink a Miller Lite at 30 degrees? Sure.
Sure.
Would I drink it at 45, 50? Sure.
Probably.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I drink it out of the truck of my car? Maybe.
Very true. So my ideal is I really love a well-made stemless wine glass.
That? Teku?
Yeah, no,
Or this?
No. To the right. Grab the the Alchemist one, the one you pointed to first, dude.
That one?
Yeah.
That's what I fucking said.
I
You're
know,
like,
and then you immediately
no.
pointed away. You pointed away immediately.
Like, no, it's not that. What's the stemless Teku?
Yeah. This really is.
It doesn't have the flair, but still.
It doesn't have flair. So this is more of a stemless teku. It doesn't have the flair on top, but like there are some. I'm trying to see. I've got to have a. You know what? I bet you I got one down there.
You don't.
A stemless wine glass. I'm really surprised.
So Country Boy
I've
did
got
a
some
nice.
upstairs.
Well, there's one behind you. Prop Day. It's pretty nice too. Whatever that is.
Oh yeah, that was a sampler.
That's fucking nice.
I was trying to find like a really thin one. So like, so let's say Rodell, for example. We talked about them already. They make the really thin crystal like this Boca Rider or Bach glass, but they do it in this style where it kind of flares out and then it has a wide base, and then you have a reasonably wide open top for imbibing and for also like for the aroma, but there is no stem. So there's nothing wrong with the stem. The whole point of it is so you can hold it by the stem, so that way you don't introduce manual temperature in there. For all intents and purposes,
Well, how many times do you hold a glass like that?
Exactly.
Do I look natural holding this glass?
No, it don't happen.
More it's like this.
You just don't.
It
just don't do it.
I got a strong hold on it, or I'm like this. I've got a strong hold.
Everybody's afraid you're gonna break. You're gonna break the stem, which some people do.
Yeah.
But B, if you don't want to introduce temperature into your beverage, you can hold it like this.
Yeah.
2 fingers, 3 fingers, something like that.
Yeah.
And you won't. I mean, it might be like incremental, but it's not going to be detrimental. So it's fine like that. But this is so much more portable than this. But if you get that kind of glass consistency where it's thin like that, you get the delivery system of a thinner glass, which I really do think there is science behind it, and I prefer it. But like the stemless wine glass, a real well-made Rodell or something like that, stemless wine glass, that's my go-to. I could use that for anything.
That makes sense.
I could use it for bourbon. I got my open nose. I can close it if I want to. I could use it for beer, and I could create my temp on there. I could use it for anything. Yeah.
Great choice. Great choice. I think what we would say, like in summary on this one, is there's a glassware for every single beverage you want. If it's a bourbon, if it's a beer, if it's a wine, they're the ones designed for that type. Even if it's a specific type of beer inside the category, there's one for that. White wine, red wine, bourbon, whatever. I think in general, though,
keep talking, Jason. Keep talking.
I got you. I think in general, what you look at, though, is it doesn't matter. I mean, it matters a little. Like in theory, it should matter.
Yeah.
But I'll drink it out of anything. And I think what we would encourage everybody to do is try different vessels to drink out of, but also don't be pretentious. Like, I mean, shit. You know, it's alcohol at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's not a...
Find what you enjoy.
It's not a game show that I need to win. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
What you got there?
If you're real fancy, then you get a glass with a mustache on it. So
I thought that was boobs.
no, that's the end game. If you can get a glass with boobs on it, let me know.
That's a winner. That's a winner.
I'll do that.
That's a winner.
That's awesome. Guys, we appreciate you. If you appreciate us, then share this. For more Arsenic Culture, you can check us out on all the socials. We are at Arsenic Culture.
Like and subscribe on YouTube.
We'll see you on the next one.